for my stuff, but yeah,
Hey,
this one
what's
looks
up?
quite good too.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's my pride, privilege, and honor to bring to you on the show today, 2017 Professional Sponsorship Person of the Year, also online business specialist and digital marketing consultant, Mike Wootton. How are you, Mike?
I'm good, thank you. So, I feel like I'm entering into an MMA ring.
That's the one. We want everyone excited as soon as you hit the ring.
Mate, it's
You've
good.
been
It's good.
well?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Where do we go?
You've been well? Busy?
I've been good. I've been very, very busy. Even though there's it's almost taboo to say that you're busy nowadays because it's like a
Yeah.
badge of honor, right? But I don't know. What else am I supposed to say? I don't know. Things have been very productive. I have been
Yep.
very clear-headed. I have had I've been working on a lot of projects. It's all been good stuff, though.
Yeah, you've always been busy from what I hear from you. You've always had a few projects on the go. Um, just for everyone out there who doesn't know you or hasn't heard your name, can you give a quick vibe on what you're all about and professionally your background and how you ended up here today?
Sure. So I guess my background has always been in some form of marketing, largely. I've spent roughly 10 years in professional sports, sponsorship, and events, and have worked on all sides of the fence there. So, have worked for professional sport, not for profits, running events and acquiring, managing sponsorships and doing event marketing, etc. And then I've spent roughly 6, 7 years on the corporate side, so actually managing big sponsorship budgets for brands like ASB Bank, AMP Insurance, and then left that behind and started my own digital marketing agency. So I now run a digital marketing agency helping people to grow and develop their brands online, to build their businesses online. So that's just called mikewooten.co. And then just most recently, I actually launched New Zealand's first business help support website called businessandboardies.com. So, given I've been in the online space for a few years now, I just knew there's a bunch of businesses out there that were going to really struggle with this lockdown period. So I launched that within 4 days. It was actually less than that, but I just say 4 days because it's hard to sort of sum up all the work that goes into it. But 4 days from idea to implementation, and got that up and running. And now we're helping a bunch of businesses sort of steer their ship and change their business models so that they can start generating some income online, and just helping people to promote themselves better.
Neat. So I imagine that's a much needed service, I guess, in this time. Have you found there's a mad rush as soon as you got that up and running?
Yeah, we had a lot of sign-ups. So we were into the hundreds pretty early on with people registering and
Oh,
signing
wow.
up.
Just from around New Zealand.
Yeah, we've got people from Australia, UK, and stuff signing up there as well, which has been really cool. And then now obviously there's been a few other people have launched similar sites, so I'm just kind of thinking about how to just add value in my own way, and differentiate a little, just so I can continue to help people. I've even made some offers to some of these players out there to actually collaborate, because I think we could actually serve more people and help them better, rather than essentially competing with one another and overwhelming people at this time. I just thought that'd be a better way, but yeah. So we'll see what happens.
You've obviously played in a few spaces in the corporate space and also in the small business side. So we'll touch on a few of those subjects today. First of all, from the corporate side, what shifts and moves are they making at the moment? And do you think those moves will be implemented in the future after lockdown is all tied up? Or do you think it will be back to business as usual?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be hard for people. The thing is that any business that is struggling in this environment, or is trying to survive and wants to continue thriving in the future, they will have to look at their current operating model, right? Regardless. So everyone has been forced to do that. Probably with the exception, not even with the exception, I was going to say, with the exception of tech companies and online companies who thrive in this sort of environment, but even them probably have to reevaluate how their business is working for the masses, right? So the thing that I think that we will see from big corporate is a realization that there is not such a heavy need for physical presence, so for people to actually be on-site working. So if we look at some of your major centres like Auckland, Wellington, etc., I think this opens up the conversation of, well, why do we make people drive an hour each way in peak traffic to come to work when we've just spent the last month proving that we can actually operate with 90% of our staff off-site, or however many it is, right? And so I think that that's going to force some interesting conversations moving forward around, do we keep our massive, 2,000 square meter office, head Auckland office in prime real estate paying top-notch rental prices, or do we let go of some staff, or and those are the conversations that I think are going to be driven out of the back of this. There'll be naturally a bunch of downsizing. I think the other thing that we'll see is hopefully we see like a lot more creativity as well. So people coming up with new service offerings and new ways to solve problems. But yeah, those are kind of my picks for what's going to be happening in the corporate space post this. And then obviously some of those companies that are doing really well, like for instance, the platform that you're using to record this on, Zoom, etc. I've had a bunch of emails from different online software that I use, basically begging for staff at this time. So a lot of them will be like expanding, right? So a lot of them will be making those kind of moves. I've had, if you heard Amazon look to hire 100,000 extra staff during this time. So, while some businesses struggle, other businesses obviously will be expanding.
Thriving.
Yeah.
It's just funky times, and it depends what industry you're in. I know like the events industry and tourism industry have been all hit really hard. What's that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's it's all up in the air at the moment. Do you think that with the downsizing of corporates and with them laying off staff and them being challenged to work remotely, do you think that will the working remotely will happen long term, or do you think it'll sort of ease its way back to where it was and it'll have its wheels again, just as we were 3 months ago?
In regard, if we're talking about just where staff are working from, I think it'd be hard for businesses to go back to the way it was after, unless of course this last month has been, you just haven't got the hang of it and it's been absolutely shocking and productivity's gone out the window, etc., etc. I think some businesses will just go straight back to the way it was because they weren't prepared for this, and then they will maybe spend the next, and we're talking bigger companies, they'll probably spend the next 6 months to a year sort of planning out maybe how do we work this model a bit better. But in saying that, a lot of big businesses have probably already been strategically planning for something like this as well. So it's a real mixed bag of kind of, I guess it comes down to your leadership team, doesn't it? How well they'll prep the business for it. So that'll be interesting, is just to see the cut of the jib of corporate leadership out there and who's making good decisions.
And it's probably the same for SMEs with their leadership, right? If they have good leadership during this time and they can make the right strategic moves, they're the ones that are going to survive.
Yeah, 100%. And those who are creative and those who move quick and those who are willing to take action, I think will they'll have a better chance anyway. I think there's a couple of camps out there, right? There's business owners who kind of go, yeah, this sucks. This is going to cost me a bit of money for the next month. It's going to be a bit of a hit, but as long as things get back to normal, then I'll be fine. And they kind of go, I'll treat this as a bit of an inconvenient break. Then you've got other businesses who just they are largely just looking at this as a 4-week break. And then you've got other businesses who are severely impacted, kind of going, well, we need to desperately come up with a new business model or change the way we're doing things in order to survive. So,
what do you think the key infrastructure changes will need to happen in the SME space for those business owners? Do you think there are trains of thoughts that will thrive and sort of, I guess, a direction that they'll need to follow if they do want to come out of this relatively unscathed?
Yeah, I think obviously it's going to depend from industry to industry. So like if you are a hospitality provider, maybe you're running a local coffee shop or something, it's a bit hard to sort of, come up with a business model that works solely online. If you thrive on, maybe you've set up a coffee shop in the basement of a large headquarters office in downtown Auckland or something like that, like you're going to have to probably radically change your entire business if you want to survive, type thing, unless of course you've got cash reserves to get you through and business goes back to the way it was. But I think people should probably be looking at what a potential downsized operation looks like. So unless of course you're in one of those industries that thrives during this, right? I think for SMEs, using this time to get used to online tools and building businesses online, I think are really important, because if everyone is also doing that, then you're going to have to be good at it to get cut through as well. So working with good people who know what they're doing is going to be essential, I think, in this time as well.
Yeah. Do you have any insights into those key tools that people might want to look into when it comes to online business?
I think it obviously depends on what your business is, because
for sure, there's a million out there.
There's literally new software and new software as a service, new apps, etc., getting released and created every single day. And so, all depending on what you do for a business, there'll be different tools to serve you. There wouldn't be any kind of like one singular tools, I think, for any businesses that would be like 100% solution to something you've got. But there's some, especially in the SME space, there are some basic ones that, and I think a lot of people are probably already using some of these already, like Xero for all your bookkeeping, etc., invoicing, using there's productivity tools for service-based businesses, like a thing called Clockify. So Clockify is a software which allows your team to basically track projects and how long they're spending on each piece of work, and then it allows you to then get a real holistic view of productivity, and two, exactly how much your jobs are costing you, so you can get your price points right for customers. So I think stuff like that's quite good. Another one for salespeople is like Loom, where you can run through sales presentations and pitches by recording your presentation online, and then you just send them a link to it, and it will email you if someone's actually looked at it. So that's quite good for just tracking who's actually opening it, and then you can follow them up if you haven't had a reminder email type thing. So those tools are quite cool. When it comes to like automated marketing, etc., there's Kartra, which is a powerhouse, I think, when it comes to automated marketing. It's similar to a HubSpot, just not as expensive. But yeah, bunch of different tools out there. I guess it all depends on your user case and what you need it for.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like you say, every business is different and they each need certain tools. Do you find that there's certain industries that are looking for online business help? There's like certain pockets of industries that are coming forward more than others?
I think definitely service-based businesses are looking at how they service people online a lot more. I would probably say in the e-commerce space, people are dying to get their products out there.
Yeah.
Or people who have physical products are looking at how they sell them online. Those are probably the bigger ones that I've seen coming through.
So go on.
Yeah. No, I've finished.
So moving on slightly to events and sponsorship, I know this is an area you know very well. How do you think events will grow and take over the space once this is all tied up? Obviously, I don't think we'll go from level 4 straight back to level 1. It will be sort of a change over time. And what will sponsorship look like in the future? Will people be willing to get in the mix in that space, or will people stand back slightly and just wait for things to unfold?
Well, the thing is, I think that like one of the first things on the chopping block when money is tight is likely sponsorship dollars. That's one of the tough realities of sponsorship. The events industry is one of the harder hit industries, I think, at the moment. And one that probably doesn't get a heck of a lot of recognition. So I read a media release from the New Zealand Events Association the other day. I think they had estimated about 5,000 events have been cancelled across the country. Now, it's, if your income is generating income from events, that's a massive hit to take. And I think that coming back from lockdown, the events industry will probably be quite slow. I think that there is definitely, the thing that it will drive though is hopefully it drives better thinking in the sponsorship space, because you're going to have to be more competitive, right? And I think that that's always exciting to see, better, more creative sponsorship proposal put together, and also new ways of doing events, so hopefully this opens people's ideas to doing more online events, which means that as a balance out, running an online event is a heck of a lot cheaper and less riskier than running an in-person event. So you're not having to pay to hire venue space, do all your event catering, your lighting, AV, etc. So hopefully, there is opportunity there for people to kind of pivot a little and go, well, rather than running like a brainy breakfast or a TED talk or something where we hire out 1,000-person venue, let's run it online. And instead of hosting, or instead of trying to get like 200, 300 people in the door at $100, why not open it up globally, try and get 2,000 people in at $25 or $30? So I think it's just a shift in mindset a little bit. And I think that sponsors will still want to associate themselves with the right events, albeit it'll be slightly more competitive, I think, when we come out of lockdown.
Yeah, I've heard of music stars coming online and running a show for millions of people around the world, and people can just join their live stream for $1 or something,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool to see it. And I think there was a soccer team over in England who challenged a few other FIFA teams, and they're just playing FIFA online, and all their fans are rocking up and seeing them play just a video game, so there's all these little niche events popping up all around the place, and it'll be interesting to see how people get on the back of that.
Yeah, I love some of this creativity. So I think if you're sitting there like I'm screwed, etc., then chances are you are. But if you're hungry and going, well, how do I make something work now, and you're coming up with some of these ideas, I think there's some real opportunities. So I know someone who just in the last week created a new online offering for his event that got cancelled, and sold 250 tickets and made a good whack of money just running, changing it to online versus being in person. So
yeah, just watch the space. I think also that I'm sort of in two thoughts around the industry, because there's the thought that that events, they won't be in person because we'll be coming out of lockdown, and people will be, I guess, skeptical about going to events with large crowds. But also someone else mentioned to me that people will be wanting connection. They'll be wanting to have those experiences again. They'll almost crave having the in-person contact. So the events industry might not explode, but it might peak for a bit and then go back to normal levels. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, potentially it's going to be interesting to see at what pace we come out of lockdown, right? So, I mean, we might come out of lockdown and be in level 3 or level 2 for the next 2-3 months where, gatherings over 100 people, 500 people are still banned. So, potentially you might have to get creative again and create like socially distanced gatherings or something where, you've got like 3 different pockets of 100 people and you're rotating and managing people between different areas. I don't know how it works, but yeah, I think that will be the deciding factor on how quickly people jump into those types of events again. It'll be largely dictated by what the government says is acceptable.
For sure. It's such a complex situation. There's like so many, obviously all businesses and all communities are affected, but I think there's going to be peripheral effects that we don't expect, and it'll just work in ways that we can't foresee. Certain industries will thrive once we come out of lockdown that we wouldn't expect. Certain businesses will go under. It'll be tough times, no doubt about it, but there'll be pockets of success, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, there's opportunity in everything. I mean, I know that there's going to be winners and losers in this, and there's winners and losers in every major event in life. So it's kind of a harsh reality, but a reality all the same. And I just I for one, I'm always quite excited by new developments and new change. So for me, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what the new normal looks like a little bit. But yeah, I think as long as you're prepared to make some moves, be prepared to operate fast and be creative, I think that there's definitely a lot of scope to be able to create something awesome for people and solve a real problem, or provide something completely and utterly new that you've never thought of before or no one's ever thought of before. And I think that's quite cool. That maybe we're looking at all new events. Maybe we're looking at
starting fresh, you mean?
Yeah.
So,
maybe like there's going to be like
out.
brand new types of events and things. So like maybe virtual dating events become a thing where you have like singles parties online and people are charging and running virtual cocktail hours and things like that. And
for sure,
who knows?
Just new platforms. I've
seen what was that Post Malone? He ran like the world's biggest virtual beer pong tournament.
Did he?
Yeah, so you got all these celebrities involved and they're all playing off against each other. And so you set up a camera and a full set of beer pong with someone else doing the same on their end, and you're playing beer pong, and whatever ones you hit, they have to knock off on their end. So
how many people attended that?
I'm not sure how many people, but it's been massive. So
crazy. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on like your predictions on the new normal at a regional level, at a national level, and then international level? I suppose 6 months down the line, if you're a crystal ball.
In regards to what? Business, events?
Business, and then we'll touch on events.
So business, I think, is going to be, again, it's very complex. So I am yet to probably develop some strong opinions around what international trade looks like, because who knows if we come out of lockdown in New Zealand, but we still can't open our borders. That means international events are shot for the next 6 months. And that also means that tourism's pretty shot. It also means that depending on regulation around ports, import exports, etc., are going to take a massive hit. Like, normally a lot of our freight and courier comes in on passenger planes, right? So, well, what does that mean for slots available for importing goods and things? So, that's going to be interesting to watch and understand how that works, whether or not some of these airlines just change to freight only for international. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think in New Zealand is no longer doing international flights, or very minimal international flights for the public. It's only going to be cargo, and then they're switching mainly their thinking to domestic travel.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah, so big changes.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I think from a national level, my inclination is hopefully, if we all come out of lockdown, is that domestic tourism booms, and a lot of the tourist operators start, doing awesome pricing and getting people out and engaging and going to the ski fields and doing some cool tourist activities within their home areas, and within New Zealand. So that might be quite a cool thing to see. I'm not sure about regionally. Obviously, I think that hospitality probably takes a big hit and tourism takes a big hit. And again, it's just going to be real. It's going to be real interesting just to see what the government regulations are and how quickly things either ease off or stay the same. I still think that there's probably going to be just a lot more online events, activity, tourism. I've heard of art galleries and things doing virtual tours of their galleries. I've heard of, like you're saying, around music stars doing online concerts. And it's easy to think, oh, well, this sucks, but also for the right moves, there's also a lot of money in it. So like I was saying before, if you take your mindset out of just New Zealand and regional New Zealand, and you go, no longer are my borders just this town, this city, this country. If you're operating and offering something online, like that online concert, your market is actually the world. So, those artists that are going, okay, well, I can travel the world doing 63 concerts in a row to 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people at a time, completely throw my life out the window, put it on hold, run myself dry, have to have a doctor, and it's exhausting. Instead, why don't I just run a YouTube show for 5 million people at once at $1 a pop and make $5 million bucks? With like hardly any overheads. So I'm going, well, that sounds like a massive opportunity.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said, don't waste a crisis to create an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see, or to imagine what opportunities that could come from this. I'm sure that there's a lot of people who have it pretty tough right now, and they've lost their jobs, or they're unsure of what the future can hold. But I guess during this lockdown, like, there's a lot of pondering by a lot of people as well, to redirect what's happening.
Well, 100%. And I think that's the only way to kind of get through a lot of that hardship is and this is a hard thing. I guess it's easy to say if you're not affected, right? Which is one of the catch-22s. But if you are going through hardship, the quicker you can switch your mindset to, okay, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing and I need to rethink about how I can make an income. The sooner you can get into that mindset, get some clarity and start making some moves, the faster you can kind of move on. But the longer that you kind of sit there and kind of go, this is hard, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive type thing? As long as you stay in that mindset, it's going to be a lot tougher, I think. I think that those who are able to adapt quicker and change the mindset to, right, this has happened now, what am I going to do about it? How can I be determined to make something new happen for myself and go out and get something done or change careers or do whatever? Those will be the ones I think that will do just fine. And I know, I get it. No one wants this to happen to them. But to the same degree, this stuff happens on a smaller scale every day to people as well. People get made redundant. people get restructured, businesses go under. It's just that this has just happened
at scale.
At a massive scale, right? And so, yeah.
Because you did a similar thing, I guess, 2 years ago. You weren't forced to leave your job, but you jumped out of corporate life and start up your own brands.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, I mean...
Yeah, how was that shift for you personally?
It was hard. Like, it was a hard shift. It took a lot of getting used to. You know, there's days when I thought like that, where I was like, man, this is hard. Should I just give up, type of thing? But yeah, just persevere, keep going with it, and just keep trying new things, and slowly things start clicking into place. I think the second that you give in to that sort of, this is really hard type mentality, and you stay there, that's when you start losing.
Yeah. Have you got any projects at the back of your mind that you think you'll run in the next couple of months or 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got
are they under wraps at the moment?
Or
is there some that you can talk to?
Well, I've got I don't know.
Don't talk about it if you don't want to.
I've got a marketplace that I'm looking to launch. That's been in the works for about a year or two. So we'll see. The hard thing for me is just prioritizing where my time and energy goes. So if I spread myself too thin, then nothing gets done. So I've probably got 2 projects that I would say 80% done.
Getting there. Nice.
Yeah.
Watch the space.
Yeah. So one's in the sponsorship events industry. Another one is in the online space to help people. Are
you in touch with NZEA much these days? I know you're a judge for them.
A little bit, yeah. So they are currently putting together some webinars, I think, for the industry, and have reached out asking for people to put together some webinars for them. So I've just been thinking about how to help the events industry at the moment. And obviously they're affected themselves from an event point of view, potentially. So they've got the New Zealand Event Awards are due in May. So we've done all the judging, and the awards ceremony itself is in May. So they're most likely sitting there wondering whether or not they can actually even have their annual awards. So
for sure. Yeah, interesting times. What's your predictions for politics down in 6 months? Personal thoughts?
Oh man, I try not to get into politics publicly.
No, fair enough.
I'm not a politician, and I get too fired up, and I would be a terrible politician because I think I'd just be too blunt and just let my mouth
maybe
run.
That's what's needed. Some would argue.
Yeah. What I will say about politics is that I think that I don't know. I think that Jacinda has positioned herself as a really good figurehead for the country during crisis. I know that there's a lot of people that disagree with the decisions she's made, but I mean, people are going to disagree regardless. Just that's the thing with politics, right? Some people just hate whoever they didn't vote for, regardless of the decisions they make. So, like a good example is some of Jacinda's biggest opposition is there's a massive group of small business owners, etc., who hate the fact that the government doesn't give small businesses enough props and enough funding and enough incentives, even though that they are some of the biggest contributors to the economy, right? And regular bashing that they will do is around the benefit, and they'll say, beneficiaries, they don't deserve money, etc. Yet when the pandemic hit, they were then thrashing the government for the benefit they were getting not being big enough. So you win, you lose either way. So they hate the government for providing the benefit. Then when they need the benefit and get the benefit, then it's not a big enough benefit. So
very true.
but they don't change the mindset around, oh, I get it, sometimes people fall on hard times and we all need a bit of a hand. And there's nothing wrong with that mentality, I don't think. And I think this is something I'd love to see out of all of this. I'd love to see people just have a bit more empathy for each other. Because, and this is just me personally, if I was in the situation where I was hating on people who got the benefit, going, they're all lazy scumbags, etc., I'm a hardworking business owner, why do I pay my taxes to pay for the benefit? And then my business goes under and I have to get the benefit. My mindset would be, I should probably stop bagging the benefit, because actually this is really helpful for people that have fallen on hard times like myself, rather than you shouldn't give the benefit to people and then when I need the benefit it's not big enough, but I'm still better than all those other people that are on the welfare. I'm like, that's just crazy. How can you have that mindset?
Can't have a double standard.
Yeah, something like that. I just don't get it. So that's my little rant about politics. In regards to who gets in, I've got no idea.
Yeah.
It'll depend. There'll be a lot of pissed off people who kind of are in that mindset of, I didn't get enough money, you didn't support businesses enough. Regardless of what the government does and what their best efforts are, there'll be a large portion of the country that hates it. And then if the opposition is in, there'll be a large portion of the country that hates it. So.
Yeah, I think it was the largest economic package ever announced by the government. So yeah, I like what you said. I think there will always be people that are angry about whatever. But talking to your point about empathy, I think that New Zealanders have a way of coming together in crisis, and I've seen really good stuff come out of this. I'm quite connected to the communities down in Dunedin at the moment who are coming together and volunteering their time, and because I'm based down here now, but there's a lot of volunteer groups that are trying to help out the region, and so it's pretty amazing to be in those meetings and be in those talks. But has a similar thing happened in Auckland that you know?
I just think I've mainly been looking at a lot of the online stuff. So, there's been Monarchy, is it how you pronounce it? I'm not too sure. But
yeah, I've seen them around.
Yeah, so essentially that's experts providing advice for free to businesses who are affected. So there's been things like that. I've seen initiatives around supporting coffee shops by buying gift cards.
SOS Cafe?
Yeah, SOS Cafe. There's
awesome.
been Pay What You Want website building. There is someone's just started a Fans of Air New Zealand page, so people are going to start fundraising to try and help Air New Zealand out at this time. Bunch of cool things going on in that space for sure. The one thing I do like, and this is, I don't know, I got to make sure I don't say this in a crass way, or in a way that's going to make people be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But
say what you're thinking.
One of the things that I like about the crisis is I do like the way that politics come together. So, for instance, John Key was publicly praising Labour, and kind of, I've seen a lot of posts from opposition talking around, now's the time to sort of work together. We can go back to things after we get through this, and holding each other accountable, but right now we need togetherness. And we saw similar things around the mosque shootings as well with the government. And so that is one of the it's sad that it takes a big event like that for that kind of outcome and harmony. But that is one of the better things I think I like, because I don't know about you, but it wears on me a lot with people quite regularly bashing each other rather than trying to work together. I just don't see the point in it.
Yeah, sometimes I suppose my personal thoughts on that is that, like, I'm quite an optimistic guy and I'm quite resilient to most things, and so when I see like this talk in the background, my mind sort of just switches off. If someone's bagging on me or anything that my train of thought follows, obviously you've got to have a moral compass and take in all views and understand other people's points of view. But if people are just like bashing on each other, I'm like, this is some kindergarten stuff, like let's move on. Let's try just make make things better, make the most of the situation. It's not
I
worth paying
love
attention
being
to.
around. I love being around people that provide solutions. So,
Yeah, for sure.
like, I am drawn to
100%.
people with ideas and solutions. So I would much rather listen to someone go, instead of going, oh, bloody, they did this and they did that and they're not fit to rule and whatever. I'm just like, oh, this is
Okay, so how do we fix it?
yeah.
Don't just complain about it.
But if someone presents something being like, why doesn't the government try this? I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. They should probably look at that.
Yeah. Be an ideas person and then execute if you really feel that passionate about it. Don't just bash on
100%.
people.
Yeah.
It's not worth
Yeah, it's a bit boring to listen to at times.
For sure. And I think there are a lot of people at the top making good moves there, or they're trying their best, Like, this is a bad situation. There's going to be negatives no matter which way you turn,
Oh, 100%. My hats go off regardless to anyone in those positions because A, I've got no interest in doing a job like that. Two, it's like got to be one of the most thankless jobs in the country, right? You got half the country hates you no matter what you do. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and you're under public scrutiny the entire time. Your whole life's on show. I'm like, no, thank you. Give them double. I'm like, double their salary for all I care. I'm like, I don't want that job.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough when you're in the public eye all the time. And I think it makes you think different, You're thinking about what moves you're making, what like imagine having the cameras on you 24/7,
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
So my head's go off the job. So it's the same with people like, and the thing is, it's like, I just wish people were just a bit more understanding. Like, yes, if things were blatantly horrific, then by all means, like, hold people accountable. But a lot of stuff that gets complained and talked about and gets a lot of media attention is just dribble. It's like non-important stuff that people concern themselves with, even though it creates very little difference in their lives.
It doesn't help that there's so much fake news on the internet going around.
Yeah, 100%. Like, another one is like, and there'll be good and bad eggs and everything, right? That's just human nature. You're never going to get a system that's 100% perfect. Another one that I see is like the people like the police, etc. They get a hard time all the time, and it's kind of like, well, that's another job I don't want.
Yeah.
You would not, like, I do not want to kick down the door of a PDN and risk being stabbed and God knows what else goes on. For what, $50,000 a year? No, thank you.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for the police at the moment.
Yeah,
they're out patrolling what's meant to be empty streets, making sure people are home. I'm sure they didn't think they'd be doing this either. They
100%.
signed up for the job, but they're all those essential workers. They're I suppose they're in this interesting time at the moment where they're all working and have to go out into the public regardless of like what concerns they have about the coronavirus and what's going on. They have to step up to the plate.
Yeah, 100%.
The rest of us just put our feet up and stay home and work remotely.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we've got the bubble that I'm in has a central worker in there. So my partner's dad is head of infrastructure for all of Rotorua City Council.
Oh, wow.
And he has a young daughter, so we actually have to look after her every single day as her caregivers. So while he goes off to keep the city running. So.
Yeah, someone's got to keep the lights on.
Exactly, and that's him.
Yeah, very good.
Well, actually, it might be the power companies, but he's doing all the water and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's pulling the strings, making sure it all ticks along.
Correct.
Do you know much about councils and how they're going to help business get ticking in their regions, or any thoughts there?
No, actually, I don't. I haven't really heard much. I should know. My partner works for council and is part of the.
No, that's cool.
And on all the executive.
Just bring it up since you brought up your partner's father and it just triggered a thought. That's cool.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts about the whole situation? What's gone down? Business, events, sponsorship, politics. We've covered a lot of bases. SMEs, corporates.
No real last thoughts. I just think that those who are seizing this opportunity at the moment to kind of think outside the box and, be proactive, take action, etc., are the people that are going to win at this time. I think that those who can adapt and change the quickest are the ones that will be okay. I think when I still am wishing that we had more empathy in times like this. So, now's a great time to kind of like take this as a reality check and be like, let's eat a little bit of humble pie and look out for each other a bit more. I would love to see more of that going on. I think there's still some of it to a degree, but a lot of it is in self-interest more than anything. I would love to see people just sort of look out for one another and help us all prosper.
Yeah, for sure. And if people want to get in touch, how can they find you? What's the best?
Well, if anyone wants help to come up with new online business strategies or ways that they can be running their business online, at the moment I'm doing a lot of that stuff for free with businessinboardies.com. So the whole concept around business and boardies is obviously business up top, boardies down below for all the Skype and Zoom meetings and webinars, etc. New way of doing business. And then obviously I've got a digital marketing agency as well, MikeWooten.co, which is the one that you've got up on the screen. But yeah, both of those are totally happy to help anyone out, go over their strategy, look at how they can potentially change their business model or how they can build their business online and start promoting it.
Perfect.
Yeah, awesome. Those are my two businesses. And people are more than welcome to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So I'm pretty active on there from time to time.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Mike. You're definitely knowledgeable in these spaces, SMEs, online business, events and sponsorship. It's really cool to hear your thoughts today and see how things are going.
Mate, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully this whole thing blows over soon and we all go back to normal, or we go as normal as can be as quickly as possible, and we will be a little more empathetic towards each other because everyone's having it pretty rough, but we will get through.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, mate. We'll catch you soon.